Hello everybody and labas and welcome to another video. So today I'm in Sudargas, okay, which is a small village, okay, not too far away from Jurbarkas and Salinger. Now it's on the border with Kaliningrad, okay, so I think if you just kept on going along that way basically, or the Kaliningrad exclave should I say, you're gonna get into Russia. And we come here because there's some interesting things to see, okay, and there's also plenty of interesting things to talk about here. So let's get going. So Sudargas has existed for hundreds of years, okay, and its first role was as a defense against the Teutonic Knights. You can still see the kind of remnants of this today, okay, by this hill fort complex that is here. So if you look around, you can see kind of we're on the hill fort complex. So here, and you have the Nemunas just down there, okay? So it's been something here for hundreds of years, really important site in the defenses against the Teutonic Knights. Like so many places in Lithuania, Sudargas has been controlled by many different empires. Just talking about the recent, kind of the last 200 years, let's say, it's belonged to Prussia, the Great Dukedom of Warsaw, and then from 1815 until the First World War, being a part of the Russian Empire. Interestingly, whilst Sudargas is, let's say, quite a small place now, actually by kind of 1900, the population was about 3,000 people here, okay? What's also interesting about this is that nowadays it's quite easy to get to Sudargas, okay? We have modern roads and you don't really need to rely on, let's say, the river. But during the spring, before kind of modern roads existed, it was basically impossible to get to Sudargas. So throughout the whole of the springtime, every year, the whole village was basically completely isolated from the rest of the world. So close to Sudargas is a massive forest, okay? And during the time of, I suppose, the Russian Empire, so when Sudargas was part of the, or was controlled by the Russian Empire, let's say, half of the forest belonged to the Russian Empire and half of the forest belonged to Prussia. Now, as you can imagine, this meant that Sudargas became quite an important kind of smuggling centre, and especially an important point for book smuggling, okay? Interestingly, there was a man, okay, a priest called Martinus Sedrovicius, okay, and he was the pastor, okay, of Sudargas. His nickname is the father of booksellers, okay? Now this man was kind of one of the key important, let's say, book smugglers of the time who helped to keep the Lithuanian language alive. And he was based here in Sudargas, okay? So Sudargas was a really important point of book smuggling, as were kind of many of the points really around here. Salinger would have also been a site where you would have seen many books come through. So similarly to Jurbarkas, Sudargas actually had a really big Jewish population, okay? And at one point in the 1800s, the population sort of percentage was about 90% of the population of Sudargas was Jewish. And for the entirety of the time that there was a Jewish population here, actually there was a great synagogue as well in Sudargas. Okay, so another interesting fact about Sudargas is actually the link it has to one of the greatest authors of, let's say, modern day, okay? And this memorial here, and this, I don't know, statue, what could we call it, is for J.D. Salinger, okay? And you might wonder, what does J.D. Salinger have to do with Sudargas, okay? He probably didn't visit here, right? But actually, his great-granddad was from this little village, Sudargas. So they put this, this statue here in honor of J.D. Salinger and the work he did, and I suppose the link he has to the village of Sudargas. Okay guys, well, I hope you've enjoyed this video about the village of Sudargas. It's really impressive, the kind of hill mounds they have here and history around them, but also the village itself has, you know, an interesting bit of history to it, okay? And like many of these places around Lithuania, sometimes you just wouldn't know these things, so it's always worth popping off, definitely taking in that amazing view over the Nemunas. So guys, from me, it's Ike Ate Visokero.